This is Assistant Director in charge of Arcade, Courtney Vance. Please state your full name for the record.
Agent Bronwen Bedivere.
Thank you. Now, you have gone through an interview process for the FBI before, so you understand that a lot of these questions are standard, and then we'll get into the specifics of why you're here.
Of course.
Have you ever been convicted of a crime?
No.
Have you ever had an encounter with what you would classify as the supernatural?
Yes.
You, of course, are an enhanced person.
Recently, yes.
How did you acquire your abilities?
A vampire bit me and apparently transmitted vampirism and some other associated abilities to me.
You were recommended for this assignment by Agent Miller. What's your impression of him?
My impression of Agent Miller?
Yes.
Competent. Definitely knows what he's doing. Very perceptive.
Do you understand who we are?
Only somewhat, from what I can gather. The average person isn't supposed to. But I believe that you are supposed to be a branch of the FBI which specifically deals with the occult and supernatural.
We are the... We've spoken with SAC Anderson at the Emerald City branch. His surprise to hear from me aside, between his testimony and your file, you seem to be an excellent agent.
Thank you. I've had no complaints.
So, if I can be frank, what went wrong?
You mean apart from the fact that apparently there were vampires in a warehouse that killed a lot of good agents?
I'm sorry, that was perhaps crass. I suppose my real question should be, based on your initial investigation, how long do you think the vampires had been there?
It didn't look like they'd been there long. From what they said to each other, it sounds like they had recently come in and rooted out the group we were looking for.
That was the Golden Dragon Society.
Right, and they had started moving in. Now that I'm thinking about it, they'd brought in a bunch of carpets and stuff. I'm thinking they were probably planning on setting up shop in there and making it more comfortable for themselves, but they hadn't even gotten that far. So we come in, and both of us are probably surprised to find the other ones there. I don't think there was any way we could have known they would be there.
So you went in expecting a triad smuggling operation, and what you found was a nest of vampires trying to convert a warehouse into some kind of housing arrangement?
It's not like there are vampire hostels as far as I know. It looks like they were trying to set up shop.
You know that we are a clandestine organization. Do you know how we maintain that?
Given the nature of your program, I'm assuming there's some kind of magical amnesia that happens.
You're not far off. We utilize something called the gravity of balance. It's a very powerful spell that ensures that our agents are forgotten, and our agents and their activities are forgotten. That being said, if you were to join our organization, you understand that you would be leaving behind everyone. that knew you before. They won't forget you. You're not going to disappear from public record. But maintaining relationships in our line of work is extremely difficult. And I just need you to understand that, given what you're leaving behind.
Agent Miller already explained this to me. I've made my decision.
Okay. Now, I understand that this next part might be a bit sensitive. You and your partner, Agent Mark Morgan, were separated during this encounter, correct?
Yes, we were originally with our captain, but he was killed prior to our capture.
Do you know what it was that disrupted the vampires and caused them to flee the scene?
I assumed it was the appearance of Agent Miller and his team.
By the time Agent Miller and his team arrived, they were long gone. Something else killed what vampires they found. Aside from the one that you stopped from killing my agent, of course. Thank you for that, by the way. All right. Let's address the elephant in the room. Do you know how vampirism functions, Agent?
I know that I am very aware of the pulse in your neck. Did you know that that's visible? I never really paid attention to it before, but it's something that I have become intimately aware of.
Well, I applaud you for your restraint.
I also know that I can move at speeds I never moved before. I know that my fingers elongate into claws. I know that whenever I drink blood, I heal. I also know that apparently whatever happened to me isn't normal vampirism, so at least I can theoretically walk under the sun without burning to a crisp.
That right there, Agent, is the part that confuses us. So as best as we have been able to put together from historical records, consultants, and our own research, what we consider to be true vampirism is roughly equal parts biological disease and mystical curse. For a true vampire to create another, they must impart both the disease and the curse upon a living subject. The specifics vary from clan to clan, but the most common practice seems to be disease transmission via bite and curse transmission via ritualistic blood transfusion from the vampire to the subject. This results in physical death and reanimation of the subject as a new vampire. If you have one without the other, it doesn't result in a new vampire. Just the bite results in what some cultures refer to as a ghoul, someone with physical enhancements but deformed and driven to consume human flesh. Just the ritual results in low-level magical power given to a thrall who suffers some of the more esoteric side effects of vampirism. We call this type vassals. In either case, the subject is all but completely bent to the vampire's will, either via magic, the addictive need to sustain the power they've obtained by getting more from the original vampire, or both. That was a rather lengthy explanation, but I need you to grasp the situation you're in. Because, by your own report, you were bitten by a vampire. That vampire was killed by an unknown assailant while draining your blood, correct?
As far as I'm aware, yes.
And in the moment of his killing, it is possible that his blood entered your body, but without any kind of observable ritual on his part.
Once again, correct, as far as I'm aware.
By all accounts we have on record, there are 4 possibilities for what should have happened. You should either be a physically enhanced but deformed and nearly feral ghoul, an innate magic-wielding vassal cringing away from every crucifix you come across, a fully fledged vampire, a cursed creature of the night with all the strengths and weaknesses that entails, or dead. And yet, here you sit, Physically enhanced with no deformities, scars notwithstanding, besides a pallid complexion, a red eye, and more pointed canines. A greater affinity for magic than the average person, but no knowledge of how to use it. In full control of your own faculties with no esoteric aversion so far as we can tell. And most confusing of all, you're still breathing and have a pulse. To be more candid than I probably should be, Agent, we don't know what you are, how you got this way, or why.
Well, aren't I special?
What I do know is that I trust Agent Miller's judgment. And based on that, your service record, and how you saved one of my men, I'm willing to give you the benefit of the doubt, for now, pending the results of a full physical and psych eval.
Benefit of the doubt that I'm not...
Something we need to throw into a cell in the gut, rather than a potential new agent.
I may have slightly new tastes, but none of my actions have or will be anything less than what is appropriate for an agent in my position. If that proves to be untrue, well, I assume I already know what you plan to do. But until then, I'm going to continue business as usual.
Understood. I'll get you set up for your medical exam and your psych eval. You at least will be less difficult than the other potential recruits that Agent Miller has brought me. So, either I'll let you know when all of this is complete, or you won't ever remember us having this conversation.
As to be expected.
Well, for now, welcome to Arcade.